If I said, vandals destroy the church, you would know I meant the church building. But it was not so in Greek. The Greek word for church, ekklesia, never referred to a building. It referred to people, not a place. It referred to a meeting of those same people, not the location of the meeting. Donald Guthrie said the expression in church refers to an assembly of believers. There is no suggestion of a special building. Indeed, the idea of a church as representing a building is totally alien to the New Testament. So, for example, if you read in the book of Revelation that Jesus had something to say to the church in Ephesus, don't envision a church building in Ephesus. Envision a group of believers in Ephesus. Graydon Snyder of Chicago Theological Seminary said, the New Testament church began as a small group house church, and it remained so until the middle or end of the 3rd century. There are no evidences of larger places of meeting before 300. So what's the point? Here's the point. The function of a New Testament church is best carried out by the form of the New Testament church. It is a fact that every New Testament letter written to a church was written to a church that met in someone's home, and the activities described in the New Testament were designed for smaller settings. So our premise is smaller churches have strategic, divinely designed size advantages. Let's review. We looked at practical small church advantages. We've looked at some expert testimony about small churches. We've looked at the semantics of the word church, but there's more. Now let's look at Old Testament and New Testament temple theology. See, it's a fact that in the Old Testament, Jehovah God gave detailed instructions for the construction of the tabernacle and later for the construction of Solomon's temple. In contrast to this, in the New Testament, there's a complete absence of information about the importance of building church buildings. In fact, Jesus said, the hour is coming when neither on this mountain, Gerizim, nor in Jerusalem will you worship the Father. But an hour is coming, it is now here, when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and truth. Now that says to me that in the new covenant, worship of God is not associated with any particular building or temple or place. Arthur Wallace, an English Bible teacher, said in the Old Testament, God had a sanctuary for his people. In the New, God has a people as a sanctuary. And Paul asked in Corinthians, do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? And Peter wrote that you yourselves, like living stones, are being built up as a spiritual house. Charles Spurgeon asked, does God need a house? He who made the heavens and the earth, does he dwell in temples made with hands? What crass ignorance this is. John Havlick, a Southern Baptist pastor, wrote, the church is never a place, but always a people. Never a fold, but always a flock. Never a sacred building, but always a believing assembly. The church is you who pray, not where you pray. So what's the point? The function of a New Testament church is best carried out by the form of the New Testament church. And since every New Testament letter written to a church was written to a church that met in someone's home, the activities described in the New Testament work better in a smaller setting. That's why our premise is that smaller churches have strategic, divinely designed size advantages.